Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about my top 10 favorite cities to live in or retire in the Philippines. Stick around. Alright guys, now I did a video just the other day of my top 3 cities for living and retiring in the Philippines based on my last 7 years here now. Going on 7 years, just about 7 years. And I got a lot of comments of saying, hey, you should expand on that and maybe make it a list of your top 10. Now, real briefly, if you haven't seen that video, and you can watch it by clicking the link up above, but the top 3 cities for me, number 3 being Davao, number 2 being Dumaguete, number 1 being Bacolod, and then I did throw out Bukidnon region, honorable mention, so that will actually be my number 4. In particular, there's a city in Bukidnon called Valencia. There's another city right next door called Balay, which is very nice, but Valencia has much more to offer. It's got a couple of shopping malls, it's got more restaurants and coffee shops and a hospital, so it's got a lot more to offer. It has a ton of nature nearby, and if you want to have more information, you can check out my video up above. Like I said, I discuss it a little bit further, but that is my number 4. Now, some people were asking me, well, what about Cebu? I'm surprised Cebu wasn't on there yet. You've lived there a couple of times, and Cebu does make the list. Priorities and things have changed for me. You know, as a single guy, I would place Cebu higher than I would now because I'm now in a serious relationship, engaged, and so that is not as important to me. But for guys who are single, then most definitely a city like Cebu is going to be much better. The one thing I do like about Cebu, I do hate the traffic, but you can find workarounds. You know, you end up learning when to travel, when not to travel, things like that. But for a lot of people, they like the condo life. And actually, for most of my 7 years here in the Philippines, I've lived in a condo and I've enjoyed it immensely. I like having the pool, the gym, I like having security, watching who's coming in and out of the building, not just letting anybody go up to your room, or unwanted guests wandering around, and receiving packages for you, and backup generators and things like that. And so for me, Cebu had a lot of that. I had a lot of good choices of condos, and the dating is good. There's a ton of restaurants. Now, there's 3 areas of Cebu that I like in particular. There's IT Park, Cebu Business Park, and Mactan Newtown, which is on the island of Lapu-Lapu. And those are the best areas for foreigners, I would say. Those are the areas that have the built-up restaurants and condo buildings, and they've got shopping malls. And they're kind of like little bubbles that are like almost like a little slice of the West being dropped right into the Philippines. That's kind of how I relate it. And Cebu has good hospitals as well. So Cebu is number 5. Now, number 6, I head back over to the Dumaguete area, and actually to Valencia, which is up in the mountains from Dumaguete. It's probably about 20 to 30 minutes out. The big downfall with Valencia are the brownouts and internet issues, and they just have not seemed to fix that. And same with Dumaguete, they just can't seem to fix the brownout issues. I've never seen anything like it in all of the Philippines. Now, it can be rectified. You know, you can move into a place that's got solar power, a backup generator, or you can buy the battery backups for your laptop and your TV and the router and things like that. So there are things that you can do to make life better for you. So Valencia has a ton of nature. They've got a great Sunday market with a with an outdoor market where you can get your fruits and veggies, and they got little restaurants, and they've actually got a pretty decent selection of restaurants in Valencia as well, and it's very near to Dumaguete, but you're also on the outskirts. Now that would be number 6. Now for number 7, I actually had about 2 hours down the road, still on the island of Negros, Bayawan. I think Bayawan is a nice little city. It's got a great boardwalk or boulevard, quite long. It's not super built up, but they do have the outdoor street food, and they've got the ukay, and they've actually got stoplights. Now that may not sound like a big deal to somebody from the west, but Dumaguete doesn't even have a stoplight, and Bayawan does. And they've got a couple of small shopping centers and a lot of nature nearby. It does have a hospital, and so I like Bayawan a lot. A lot of people like it as well. It is a bit far from everything else. If you wanted to extend your visa, you've got to head all the way into Dumaguete, a couple hours away. But I like Bayawan a lot, so Bayawan is number 7. And number 8, I would head over to Makati in Manila. Again, for me personally, as if I was a single guy, Makati, it's going to be more expensive to live. The dating is going to be good because obviously bigger population, more Filipinas from all over the place are coming into work. A lot of Western amenities. It is going to be much more expensive to live. A lot of condos, a lot of shopping malls. You're going to be close to the airport. The only downside for me is that you really have to travel quite the distance to get out and get into nature. And so if you are a nature lover, a place like Makati is probably not for you. Number 9 for me is Tagaytay. Tagaytay is out in Cavite, which is about an hour and a half or so, I guess, from the Manila airport. And it is a great little city. It has cooler weather. When I was there, I was actually quite chilly, and I felt like I needed a hoodie, which I didn't have at the time, so I just sat there and shivering. But they've got shopping malls and great restaurants, and they've got the volcano, which is just really unique. It's a lake with the volcano, and then you hike up to the top of the volcano, and in the crater there's a lake with an island in it. So it's really unique. Now, a downside is that volcano, since I've lived here, has had activity about 3 or 4 times, spewing ash, and where people had to evacuate. So for me personally, it is a bit close to an active volcano, and but for some people maybe that's not a deal breaker, but I do like Tagaytay a lot. It's a beautiful city. Again, it's a little far out as far as like if you want to get to the airport and things like that, but it is a nice city. Definitely at least put it on your list for places to visit. And then my last one actually would be Bacolod, and Bacolod would be number 10 for me. Bacolod I like because it's actually a pretty central location, enabling you to get over to Iloilo. They've got they got restaurant. I mean, I've never seen a city in the Philippines with so many restaurants and food options. Bacolod, the new government center has this built up area with just restaurants all over the place, live music, and where you could pick out the barbecue you want, the seafood, and they cook it up for you. They've got Mega World opening up with new shopping centers and condo buildings, and there's a lot of nature nearby. We went to some great waterfalls. We went to this, I think it was the biggest bamboo bridge in the Philippines, which was pretty cool. Just a couple kilometers long. It was huge. But there's a ton of nature. There's hospitals. Now there's certain sections that are not that nice, but there's plenty of areas in Bacolod that are super nice. But Bacolod would be number 10 for me. So there you guys have it. You guys wanted to know if I expanded out my list, what would be my top 10. That's my top 10. And if you want to see the video on my top 3, you can see that again up above. Guys, check out my website for more information, more in-depth articles about different places I've lived, things to do and things to see, and all kinds of information on my website, geointhephilippines.com. Head over to the Geo Travel Essentials on my webpage to see a list of all the things that I recommend for living or traveling out to the Philippines. And thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.